friends, and welcome back to my channel. I love making Christmas cards and I love getting a head start on a busy season. Spellbinders Clubs of the Month are focused on that theme. It's all about Christmas. This video is going to be focusing on two of the clubs. For the adorable small die of the month, we're going to make cups of hot cocoa, and honestly these are especially cute. I'm also going to be using the bonus item. If you subscribe to the monthly Deluxe Caboodle Kit, you will get all of the clubs. You'll also get a bonus item, and for this month you get this cute little gingerbread. So we're going to be working with this as well. This gingerbread man can be made as is, or it can be modified into a fun mug for hot chocolate. This is so cute. I'm also going to be working with 3D embossing folder of the month. This is a really unique take on a snowflake background with many of the snowflakes circled, creating sweet medallions. Of course, it's extra large, perfect not only for A2 size cards, but for 5x7 cards as well. I have done all of my die cutting off camera, and the first thing that I'm going to do is put together the mugs. I'm going to set the bonus item aside for now and focus specifically on the small die of the month. With this set, you can make 3 different styles of mugs. You can make the Santa Claus, a penguin, and a deer. I'm going to start off by putting the penguin together, so I'll just slip those soon-to-be cute mugs aside. This is the main die that will form the basis of the cup. This die will be used in conjunction with all 3 styles of mugs. And then there are specific dies to use to create the deer, the penguin, and the Santa's head. Let's get started. The penguin has been die cut from that beautiful soft pink chiffon color wheel cardstock, a little bit of white, and then black matte cardstock that is included in the Treasure Cardstock Onyx collection. I just love that combination of the soft pink with the black. To cut the mug for the penguin and the deer, I use the cup die in conjunction with an oval die, and then die cut the oval die again out of, in this case, the chiffon cardstock. This oval with its texture perfect for critters will be inlaid, and I'm just going to use a little bit of Scotch tape just to hold that in place. Let's start putting this together. This is simple and fun to make. There are a pair of round die cuts that are intended to go behind the die cut for the eyes, but because the face is going onto black cardstock, I can skip that step. To place this die cut, I simply aligned the center of the top of the impression of the beak with the point of the texture at the top of the mug. Then I'm going to pop the little beak on. The pointed part of the beak positioned downwards. And now I'll add the stripe detail to the 2 die cuts that make up the scarf. There are etched lines, but I find it easiest just to take one end and line it up first and then press it into position. And I'll do the same thing for the main portion of the scarf. Just tap some of that adhesive off. So onto the handle, etched lines on there, and that's going to sit like that. Because this is a metallic paper, I don't want my adhesive to smear. It's going to show if it does. So I've tapped off some of the excess adhesive to try to prevent that. And then I'll just line it up on one end and then work my way down the handle, pressing it into position. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere the cup onto the handle. The whipped cream has a base and then also a detailed die cut that sits on top. Isn't that cute? So go ahead and put that together. And then you can see there's this thicker base to the whipped cream. And we'll just add some adhesive right along that and pop that underneath the top of the mug, like so. Now I'm going to put together the black candy cane with pink stripes. I really love the different flavors of candy cane that you can get. I have had black candy canes with their delicious anise flavor, but I don't think I've had one with pretty pink strawberry flavored stripes through it. I'll pop that on. I'm going to attach the tail. I'll just add a bit of adhesive right at the top of the, oh, I've put it on the wrong end. Just wipe that off. So the top of the scarf is the end that is square. The bottom is rounded, so I'm just going to place that coming out from the neck at an angle. And the main part of the scarf over top of that. I do have a little tiny heart here, and I'm going to pop it onto this penguin's chest on the left-hand side, of course. And then when I finish putting the cards together, then I'm going to highlight it with some Nouveau Glitter Drops White Blizzard. And that is the penguin. That is so cute. Next, we'll go ahead and put together Santa. So for Santa, I have done die cutting out of the Ruby Treasured cardstock. This is the mat, the trim of his hat out of white glitter cardstock, which is from the antique collection. The cup for Santa will be cut with the same die used for the deer and penguin. The beard face die cut will sit over top of the texture that is intended for the animals. First thing I'm going to do, there are these little round die cuts that I didn't end up using for the penguin because his face was adhered to black cardstock, but this one will be going on to white cardstock. So I'll add in those die cut circles and then I'll just go ahead and adhere the face onto that die cut. And if you look, there's an etched area to line that up with. Look how that changes him. There's this little die cut. I've cut it out of black. You could do it out of pink as well. It's almost shaped like an envelope, except an open envelope, but the top is rounded, not pointed. So we'll just take that mustache and then we'll pop his mustache and nose. We just want to center the nose between the eyes. There are no etch lines for this, but it's pretty obvious where that will sit. And then we'll give him a pink nose because it's a little chilly outside if you're Santa. I'm just going to adhere this onto the cup. Instead of a Santa hat, Santa's going to be topped off with, of course, whipped cream. And then we'll get the detail of the whipped cream on the base die cut. These go together so quickly. They're so cute. I'll add some adhesive right at the base of the whipped cream and pop. Whoop. That's the thing about working with metallic paper. It takes a while to dry. So try not to move that base. This is the trim of the whipped cream of the hat, which is the whipped cream. So cute. I'm going to set that so that the top just meets where the whipped cream starts. And I've already added the striping detail onto the handles, so I'll just add some adhesive on either end and then set Santa on top. So this die cut is a button detail for Santa's suit. There we go. I'll just pop that on the top end of that oval to finish off with the candy cane. And this one is very traditional, red and white. So we'll just tuck that in behind the whipped cream. There we go. These are so much fun to make. Now on to the deer. As shown with Santa and Penguin, there are a few ways this cup die can be used. For Santa, the cup was just die cut from this. But for the animals, I took this die and then used a little bit of washi tape to hold it centered in that opening, and then die cut the body, and then use this die again to cut the piece that would be inlaid into that die cut opening. And you can see that this gives it added texture that is appropriate, not for Santa, but appropriate for a critter. And I wanted it to be inlaid. I mean, there is, I guess, another way you could die cut this piece separately and then adhere it to the oval, but because the animals have scarves, I chose to have it inlaid. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to start off by putting those black die cut circles behind the die cuts or the eyes. And then I want his nose to be blush, so I'm going to use this little oval die cut and just add a touch of adhesive on either end of it and lay the face down so that the die cut opening for the nose is positioned on top. Now I can go ahead and adhere his face. And again, I'll line up his nose to the bottom of that V textured area. And this deer has been cut entirely from white cardstock, touches of chiffon, and also the white glitter paper, again from the antique treasure cardstock collection. These are the little ears, and so there is also a little soft pink die cut for the inside of the ear. So we'll just I'm going to go ahead and attach the ears, and the ears are going to sit on either side at the top of the head area. Now for the handle. And then we'll add adhesive to either end of the handle. Although hard to see on the glitter paper, this little guy does have impressions for cheeks, so we'll pop those on. We'll tuck the candy cane in behind the whipped cream, and like the penguin, we'll add in a little pink heart, which we'll finish up later with the Nouveau glitter drops. And that wraps up the small die of the month. On to the bonus item, this sweet gingerbread die set can be used as an independent item, just like that, a cookie, or you can transform it into a mug. And that is what this die will do. And I'm going to use just a little bit of low-tack tape to hold that in place. To turn this gingerbread man into a mug, we'll have to use the handle and the whipped cream from the small die of the month. Die cut these details, the 3 buttons and the mouth, out of pink cardstock. So I'm going to inlay these pieces. So I'm just going to put some Scotch tape on the back. I'm also going to add some black circles behind the eyes. I use the die for the cheeks. And now I'll go ahead and pop those little inlaid details in place. Oh, I've got this upside down. So there's a right and a wrong way for these little buttons. They're a little bit more pointed at the bottom than the top. And then we'll pop his cute little mouth in place. Just a dab of adhesive. For his cheeks. This is quite fine. I'm just eyeballing these and making sure that the die cuts that go onto the arms are the same size as the ones that go onto the legs, and they are. Yeah, okay. It's a small die cut. And then once these final little trim pieces go on, then the handle and the whipped cream with the candy cane will complete the gingerbread just like the other 3 cups of hot chocolate. And I'm going to finish this gingerbread mug. There we go. Those are all of the cute mugs put together. So off camera, I did my embossing. This deer is going to sit on a silver foil background that has been embossed with the 3D embossing folder of the month. So we've got that one. And then we've got the penguin, which is chiffon. This one, which is out of, I think, tutu. And then Santa's full-on bling, and I have embossed the glitter paper from the Treasured Cardstock Antique Collection. I'm only going to put one together because they're all going to be the same, just to save some time. I also have used the sentiment from Large Die of the Month that says Warm Cocoa Wishes, which is perfect. I'll start off by adhering the embossed panel to an A2 sized card base. Although I'm only applying thin streams of adhesive to the back of the panel, I am making sure that I get really good coverage so that the panel will lie completely flat. And then I'll pop it under some weight for a couple of minutes. First, adhere the sentiment, which was die cut with a combination of the banner die and the sentiment insert, which was taped together with washi tape. And then I am going to adhere it to a white banner. So the second one was just cut with the banner die. Put some foam tape. I've got this huge roll of foam tape. Sentiment will be adhered with foam strips. The banner is a little bit wider, so I'm going to use 2 of them together. And I'm actually using up some little odds and ends for this die cut. Make sure I've got it right side up. There we go. And center his body on the sentiment, and isn't that adorable? Okay, so those actually pulled together very quickly. So there's Santa, and I'm not going to add anything else to him, but I am going to highlight these cute little hearts that were placed on the deer, the gingerbread man, and the penguin. And I'm highlighting, I mainly work with Nouveau Crystal Drops Morning Dew, or this one, which is Nouveau Glitter Drops White Blizzard. The White Blizzard is very, very sparkly, and when it dries, it is clear. To each of the hearts. When you're working with this medium or the Crystal Drops Morning Dew, it does require a fair amount of drying time. Isn't that cute? Oh, I just love these. They're so sweet. So I actually set them aside overnight so that they are completely dry. Oh my goodness, these are adorable. So, hope you enjoyed this video. If you are getting the small die of the month or have plans to get it, you will not be disappointed. It is absolutely adorable. Thanks for joining me, and as always, I appreciate your visit.